I'm back with dinner. Tonight is steak night. I'm serving that with some Hasselback potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts, dinner rolls, and then for dessert, I'm doing Ina Garten's brownie pudding and some homemade vanilla ice cream. First on my to-do list for today was to get that ice cream going so that it had plenty of time to set up in the freezer. I made the base earlier this morning when I made breakfast, had that chilling in the fridge before I churned it, and then tossed it into another container to freeze. Then I got started on my bread rolls just to make sure they had plenty of time to proof. Sometimes I do these dinner rolls by hand just because I'm stubborn and don't want to do the dishes, but it is just so much easier to just stick it in the KitchenAid and let it do its thing. And just like vanilla, sometimes you have to measure olive oil with your heart. Once my dough came together, I greased a separate bowl and tossed that in there, covered, and then let it proof in the nice warm sunlight coming through the windows. I had to use this warm little kitchen to my advantage. Next, it was time to start on my dessert. I had made this brownie pudding one time before. I even made a little video of me making it, and I had made a half batch just because it was just me eating it. And then I realized when I'm making it the second time that I did not have the dry ingredients, which made total sense because this one was so gooey and delicious, not like mine. Mine basically just came out like brownies. I'm also wanting to remake these with brown butter and espresso instead of framboise like her original recipe. Next, I got started on those Hasselback potatoes. I'm using Chef Riley Meehan's recipe for his Hasselback potatoes. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right, forgive me, but just substituted some of the ingredients with what I had on hand and they turned out so delicious. In my bowl, I have some heavy cream, olive oil, smoked Gouda, Colby Jack, fresh herbs, fresh garlic, and some seasonings. I loved these because not only were they delicious, but I could kind of prep them ahead of time, and anything I can prep ahead of time is good to me. Like Riley said, I'm not sure if Hasselbacking is a verb, but I sliced the bottom off my potatoes to give them a flat surface before Hasselbacking my potatoes. Then to keep my knife from going all the way through, I just used 2 plastic forks, or you can use chopsticks. I just didn't have any. At about that time, my dough was ready to shape, so I got each of the rolls portioned and then rolled out, and then I got those into a greased and lined casserole dish. I will lightly spray the top just to keep the plastic from sticking, but then I just let those proof. I will say getting the cheese and cream mixture into every crevice of those potatoes was not pretty, but totally worth it. As for the Brussels sprouts, typically I like to do whole Brussels sprouts cut in half, but they were out, so I just got some shredded Brussels sprouts. Those got some olive oil, honey, salt, and seasoning. And ignore this step, I don't know why I put balsamic glaze before I bake them. It burns in the oven. Then I also baked some bacon to go into the Brussels sprouts as well. By now the sun was starting to set, so I knew the guys would be finishing up and heading back to the lodge soon, so I egg washed and salted my bread rolls and then got those in the oven. If you didn't know, I'm cooking for hunters, so once the sun goes down, it's kind of my indicator that they'll be back to eat within the hour just because they can't hunt after dark. The potatoes came out perfect. My bread also looked really good, and so did the Brussels sprouts despite the balsamic glaze situation. I didn't get much of my steaks, but I seared them and then basted them in some garlicky herby butter, and here is that delicious brownie pudding that I served with ice cream.